Hi, Thumos gentlemen, welcome back. Today, we're going to be going into the four archetypes: the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. And we're not necessarily going to dive into this book. It's a good book. Um, I'm a fan. I don't love it, but it's pretty good. But what I do like is the archetypes, and I like what they represent. And I think that in these times where it's kind of questionable what makes a man. I think that these can give us some insight, guys. So let's jump in. All right. The first thing is the reason archetypes seem to work well is because they give us something, even if they're not real. Right? These aren't real. You don't have a king in you. You don't have a warrior. You don't have this stuff inside you. But you know what they are, and we learn through stories. Through a story of a king, you kind of have you know what a king is. You know what a ruler is. You know what a warrior is. You know what a lover is. You know what a magician is. A wizard, an oracle. And so the stories that we tell ourselves, well, they become us, and we find meaning in them, I believe. So, I think using archetypes to figure out what it is to be a man and to be happy, that's what it is, to have meaning in your life. Well, we can use these. And it reminds me of how the Hindus, or in Hinduism, there's a lot of different statues, and it may seem like that they worship idols, but it's not. From what I've learned, it's not that they worship the idols, but they have the statue there of Ganesh or Shiva, and they have them around the house. And what that does is it acts like a reminder. It's a peg to hold up this reminder of God. Because a lot of us may say that we believe in God, but how many times throughout the day do you stop? Do you actually acknowledge God? And so I think that's very cool to have reminders of a holiness of the one. So that's what I've learned in Hindu. If you guys are Hindu, the Indian bros out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Something that I've learned from the book Swami was talking about, and why there's so many idols and statues in the Hindu religion. But the same thing with archetypes. Archetypes are there to remind us. They're there to remind us of the qualities and the characteristics, I believe, that are in men. What makes a fully integrated masculine man, and what we can aim at today. So let's just, instead of going into exactly what they are, one of the ways that I like to think of this is, what are they when you bring them to the extreme? So what is a king when you bring him to the extreme? Well, a king becomes a tyrant, someone that has a ruler that is more about complete control and less about caring, less about being a benefactor, the good of the people, more about just asserting complete dominance and control. All right, that's the when the king is taken to the extreme. What is your warrior when you take it to the extreme? Well, let's look at some of these in men that maybe we see today. Your warrior. I see people that take the gym so seriously. I once myself, a lot of you guys ask me, dude, you're not as big as you used to be. You're not as shredded. And the truth is, yeah, I'm not. And a big part of my life when I was like 20 to 23 was bodybuilding. Like, that's all I would do. I would go twice a day. I was counting my macros. I was on point, and I really believe that bodybuilding was my purpose. That was what I was going to do at that time. So I gave it my all. I really did. I was in there, took it serious, would practice posing all the time, and my nutrition was on point. So that's how I did it. And as soon as I stopped doing that, well, with all of my focus, instead of going into this, it started to go other places, because I realized that if I put too much focus in this one place, there was a lack of development in other areas of my life. So I'm trying to be a well cultured or integrated man, a well developed person. And if I put too much focus into this, then the other areas were going to fail. And I was unhappy. I really was. There was a lack there. So the short answer to that is, you put hard work in, man. And if you want a great physique, you're gonna have to work out hard. It's better if you can just get in the habit of working out and eating good, and that's just your lifestyle. Okay. But if you want to take it to bodybuilding and you really want to be a top performer, you're going to have to do drugs, which I never did. And you're also going to have to like be on the money with your diet and nutrition. And no one talks about how much money that costs either. Like it costs a ton of money. All right. But that's that. So what I'm saying is, though, I developed that warrior very well. And you see that a lot. You get these meatheads, right? You get the meatheads, we call them meatheads, whatever. You get guys that are super into just fighting, or super, the jocks, or the super, just that's it. It's the priority. Or sometimes what I've realized, though, when you focus too much on the physical, that you can become rigid. And especially when you get older, there's a lot of sins that you pay for, man. You live heavy now, you're squatting 500 pounds now. I know that's not going to turn you guys away that are doing it, but dude, you're going to pay for it when you're like in your 30s. I'm not even in my 30s yet, but I still feel some of the pains. Okay. And it's me paying for the sins. I used to walk into the gym, just deadlift 500 pounds without warming up. It's like, that's foolish, you know? And, so the warrior becomes the meathead, or the just the pure focus on fighter. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, again, you got to develop every one, okay? The magician, what is it when he's taken to the extreme? Well, he becomes, you could say, a nerd, okay? And what nerds are is, when you really think it, is just like developing the intellect, where it's more of the ego, the intellect to be seen as intelligent and smart. We got a lot of that these days. A lot of people on YouTube, we almost think, I believe, and I'm speaking what I've realized myself, is that being intellectual will make you seem cool in the eyes of others, or will, because we have a lot of intellectuals online these days, and we have a lot of people that seem really smart, and we kind of want to be like them. We want to like talk like them, want to have a big vocabulary, want to act like we know everything. But what I've realized is that, if you're not focused on learning something or building up something, what your kind of fascination will go all over the place. And if you don't put it into something, or if that's all you think about, like video games, that's your whole life, you become a nerd, or if you're a book nerd, or always on computers, and you never develop that discipline like of the king, or that you never develop the physical of the warrior, or the lover, you never develop that relationship, that lover dynamic, well, then you're going to suffer. You're going to be a nerd. You're going to have nerd posture. You're going to be an intellectual and lessen your body, instead of uniting the two and then becoming something completely like an ubermensch, superior. Okay, so the magician, when taken to the fullest, becomes a nerd, becomes that really just wise guy, the smart guy, but other places are lacking. So moving on to the lover, and I think this is a big one these days, because look, this is the lover, very important for us guys, man, and big when we're talking about men's improvement, becoming strong, powerful men, and leaders. Well, look, we got to talk about getting into a relationship, and a lot of guys these days, I think, have not really understood and developed this. Okay, so let's say that you're in a relationship. I see that a lot of guys are afraid to compliment their woman, right? They're afraid to compliment their woman because you're giving away power, in a sense. Many of us have read The Rational Male. We've taken the red pill. You probably heard of this term. And you understand some basic female psychology, human nature. And what I'm realizing is that, you guys, you got to get over this, man. This is, if you're stuck in here, if you're stuck in thinking like females are somehow super different than you, or always worried about getting cheated on, or what your girl's doing, you're going to be unhappy your whole life. You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on becoming fully integrated. You're going to miss out. And there's a lot of meaning in your life that you're missing out on because you choose to put the woman first. But many of you are in this state where you're dating someone and you don't think that you can just be calm and relax and like tell your girl she's sexy as hell, or like to be sweet. Like, there's no sweetness. And what I mean by that is, like, you can go up to your girl and grab her and just kiss her on the back of the neck and it's no big deal. But as you're a lot of us entertain these scenarios and we're like, oh, I can never do that. That's beta. That's simp. That's simp. And what you're not realizing is that when you're stuck in that pattern, that lifestyle, then you're acting from a place that is very scarce. That's not what a king would do. A king would just say, "Hey, beautiful, hey, baby girl, what's up? You looking?" Not to a random girl. I'm saying to his queen, right? It's from a place of abundance. So many of us are acting from a place of that we don't have enough. We're not good enough. We're not high enough value. How can we give other people value? How could we give the woman the value? How could we give that away through saying something nice? Then we would lose our value and she would step all over us. And that's a big fear. And I think many of you can probably resonate with what I'm saying now. And if you cannot, then there's also another face to this coin. And that's when you don't have anything, when you're not, integrated, well, then you sort of, so the opposite, you could say, is the simp. Okay, the extreme of the lover is the simp, the worshiper of females, the one that is the extreme needy and nice guy. And that's what I'm saying. You don't need to be afraid of being needy if you don't need anything. And so part of like what I've realized in my relationship getting older is that I stopped playing games. And there's no, like, I'm not needy. Like, I will tell my girl, like, you're sexy, like, you look sexy as hell. And then I'll just, like, walk away. I'll carry on with my day. It's no, like, I'm not playing any mind games. And that right there, I can tell just makes her feel good, and but it's not me trying to win her favor or coming from a place of, oh man, I hope she's gonna just want to stay with me more and, not cheat on me ever again. That's not what I'm doing. You gotta get what I'm saying. So on the opposite, you have the simp, which again is coming from a place where he's needy for the woman's attention. He wants to make sure that she likes him, that she invests in him. If he compliments her, that she will reciprocate and now like him and find favor in him. So you guys got to be aware of this. Okay? So you have the simp, and then on the other end, you have the guy that's extremely cautious because he thinks that he can't give it away, because we have all these guys on YouTube, oh, don't compliment women, don't do this, man. No, dude, this is pimping energy. Like once you get to that pimping energy level, man, it's a different thing. It's hard to express. Once you get in a couple of relationships and you understand you're a man and you kind of, there's bigger things in this world, it's very freeing. It's very freeing to be stuck in this relationship dynamic where you're always worried about your girl. And it's just weird, man. You're not going to get anywhere in life like that. Okay. So it's time to just refocus and recenter. But realize that if you're in a relationship, man, love, show care. You're very similar. Men and women, if you're not in a relationship, dude, you got to develop everything. You got to get the king down, the discipline, the one that governs himself. Be a tyrant on yourself a bit. Don't be a tyrant out here acting a know-it-all and stuff, and then also being this guy that has an answer for everything and just wants to show off with his knowledge, and then but also doesn't take care of himself, eats junk. Don't just be someone that's not developed at all, and then you're focused on this. Like, that doesn't work. For us to really come together as a fully developed man, dude, you have to be all of these things. And that's why it's good to look at the archetypes, because we have those stories in place that give us hints and reminders of what it is when these things come together to be a man. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys are, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, please say so. I don't want to confuse you. And these are just thoughts that I'm having. Okay. But I have seen them immensely improve my life. So to wrap this up, I'll tell you this. I believe when you look at these pictures and when you look at these archetypes, when they're fully developed, what I've realized is there's not fear. There's not fear that is in these energies, you could say. There's no fear in the king. He's a king. He can rule. He may have hard decisions. He may be afraid, but he's a king, right? In all of these, the warrior is ready for war. He's ready for battle. He's trained. The magician, he's studied. He's wise. He's learned. He's skilled. the lover. He's grounded. He's calm. He can embrace himself. He doesn't have to prove himself all the time. He doesn't have to try to act like someone else. He doesn't have to use humor all the time to try to, mask his real self. He can calm down. He doesn't need game. He can just be calm, be a man. And so there's a lack of fear. And what I realized is, growing up, I was a Christian. And I know a lot of you guys will say, just return to Christ. That's not how my mind works. And I really think that I will always believe that there is a God. Okay, even though I walked away from, say, Christian faith, I still love the Bible. I think it's great. I think there's a lot of power there. But to believe exactly word for word what it says, my mind just can't do that. So the way that I really think that is my mind's trying to see things is that there is a God. And I will never forget that. There is something higher than me. There is something that knows. There is something that is bigger, the universe. It's doing its thing. And I am a part of that all. And in the presence of that thing, there is no fear. And I love how it says in the Bible, it says, the beginning of wisdom starts with the fear of God. When you fear God, what else can you fear? You know what I'm saying? Not only is he all powerful and can just, let's say God can do anything he wants. If you begin to fear that you don't have as much control as you think, then what you do is you stop playing God. You stop playing God, and you stop trying to, you stop getting angry at the world, and you stop getting very emotional, and you stop suffering when you stop trying to play God. Because you realize that the worst that's going to happen is you're going to die one day, and that's not too bad of a thing. And so no weapons, nothing can really hurt you, not even circumstances, because you don't have as much control as you think. And you can try to live the best that you can. But at the end of the day, who do we give it up to? We see the bigger picture, right? God, the universe, being here, we're stoic. We're able to maintain that calmness from not knowing, in a sense. And that unknown is what I call God. And so in that, there's no fear, because everything's going to be all right, man. Everything's going to be all right. And so, you may be going through some stuff right now, and I just want you to know that it's going to be all right. And you just got to give it to God, man. Give it to God. And I know sometimes that's hard. But we got to make an effort to remember and to see the bigger picture. All right? So let the anger go. Let the anger go. Let the trying to control everything. And, I think the best is to try to bring these about yourself, to look at yourself. And you can use the archetypes. You can use some other measurement system or standard, but try to look at, what can I clean up in my life? What can I fix up? How can I be more kingly in my life? Can I get rid of something that's holding me back? What am I using? What crutch am I using in my life? It could be drugs. It could be something else. What crutch am I using in my life to play God? To act like I'm my own God, that I need this to be, to be in control, to really get me up. That's one thing I learned for caffeine. Just letting go of caffeine is like, if I'm being honest, the caffeine was kind of what I associated myself with. It was me trying. I needed that to be the best. And when I let go of that, it's like, well, I don't know. I don't really need it, huh? And that's tough, though, because we tie our ego to all these different things, and our identity. And when you give them up, you're kind of like, man, I didn't need it after all. And I think it's those things that keep us away from really knowing God, from really being in that presence, being in that presence of God. All right? So, much love, guys. Hope you enjoyed the message. And please ask me any questions if you have any. I'll talk to you soon. All right, bros? Have a good week. Hi, Thumos. Peace.